Let's stand and pledge allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would need a motion and a second to adopt tonight's agenda. But are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
We do need to add the addition of 8A, and it's just discussion of reviewing the job creation grant.
Okay. Anything else? Any deletions? If not, all in favor? Please say
I'll
aye.
make a motion to adopt the agenda with the addition of 8A.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Public comment. Citizens may speak on items not listed on the printed agenda. Please state your name and address and observe the 3-minute time limit. And we have Texie Smith and Miss Faye. Are y'all together?
Yeah.
Okay, y'all, please come up.
Okay. Where'd I go?
Right there at the podium, Texie. Glad to have y'all here tonight.
And Faye Cole, and we're here to speak on the walking park behind Faye's house on 365 Broad Street. She don't mind the walking park, but we heard that the parking lot was going behind her house. We don't want it. So we've never seen the plans, hadn't heard nothing about it, but just what's hearsay.
Well, honestly, at this time, we do not have a set of plans for the park.
Okay.
As far as the parking, that would be discussed at some other point in time.
Okay.
Does the board agree with that? Yeah. We don't have anything right
The only
now.
plans we've had several years old, we haven't talked about it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, when the bamboo started getting cut and it started getting growing and everything was gone, and then we heard about the walking trail. So we would like to come to the next meeting and see the plans or what's going on with it.
Well, it's okay with the board. I'll let you know when we do get some plans.
Okay.
And how's the bamboo doing, by the
Still
way?
growing.
You're growing.
Yeah, they growing. We're getting everybody in Denton to make cane poles for them. But that's what we had to say, and
Well, this board will take that into consideration.
okay, thank
We
you.
will get back with you on that, okay?
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Thank y'all. Consideration and approval, Reliance Code Enforcement Contract. Oh, I'm Jenny, okay, I did not see you. I'm sorry, I'm Jenny.
My name is Anna G. Morris. I'm a resident of Denton. I just want to tell you what a beautiful and emotional service there was Memorial Day at the park. It was a little drizzly, but the town manager took care and the mayor took care of everything, for the most part, under the gazebo and so on. It was beautiful. It was so well planned. It was reverent, and thank you. Thank you for choosing little Tucker. He did such a good job with his little sports coat on and his bow tie, and he just, he was wonderful. Everything was just really great. And again, as always, when we have functions at the park and other places, we have our police chief and others who are always there to take care of all of us. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, Jean. Consideration and approval, Alliance Code Enforcement Contract, Andrew Jones.
Mayor, Commissioners, as you guys know, we have been working with Alliance Code Enforcement for about 3 years now. Brandon Emery is the owner of the company, and they started with us in early 2020, handling some issues that we had with housing. And we've been in a contract with them. We are presenting a contract that would have an automatic renewal unless there is any type of updates by either party. So either the town or ACE will be able to present changes to the contract to be approved by us. So it would be a continual contract unless otherwise decided by the town. They are having an increase from $38 to $40 per hour. They are in town 10 hours a week. There was some issues over the past, I would say, month or two, and with an employee, that employee has been replaced, and we have a new code enforcement officer in town, and they're handling all the back cases that there was. So I'm sure you guys have received calls, I know the mayor has, about letters being sent out. So does anybody have any questions about their services they provide? Or
It seems like sometimes not getting done as quick as it should be.
that was the issue with the staff member, and we reached out numerous occasions, and they just started their new staff member last week. So he's assured us that they will get on top of it. We did have a situation that was abated last week or 2 weeks ago, over on Forest Park. No, Farm Road. And we had to go in and take care of that. It still has some things that have to be done there, but
That's what I was gonna
Yeah.
see, was it, so they didn't think it was done.
no, it's only partially. It's a two-step process. They have to handle high grass as one, and then the exterior junk piles is another. So
It is is it on the minimum housing too, cause I understand some of the floors are falling in.
I'm not sure on that, Scotty. I'll ask him. He should be in town tomorrow. Tomorrow, Wednesday is usually their day, Tuesday or Wednesday, so I'll make sure to ask if it's on the housing. But other places, like I said, they did come into town and do a complete sweep when their new staff member come on board. And last week was his first week of being in town alone, so.
What if we had to pay for that too, because the other staff member wasn't doing what it should do?
Well,
Did we have to pay for the sweep again for the second time?
we did not.
Okay.
We just got the bill for services this month, and I did not see that because I did look, just to make sure. So we did not have to pay for any extra hours on that.
What about some of the ones that have been on there forever?
Well, we talked to them about giving us a time frame of how cases are handled. So, they come in as a complaint, they have steps they have to go through, whether it's high grass or junk piles or minimum housing standards and things like that. So we don't always feel like it's on our time frame, but there are things that, for whatever reason, they have to go through certain steps in order to get to the abatement. Because then that's when they have the right to go in and remove stuff from the property if necessary. So in order to do that, they have to make sure they're covering all their legal steps to be on property, removing property. But Brandon Emery, the owner, sent us a list of like their proper steps that they have to do. I'll send that out to y'all so you know. There are a few that have been, seem to be a continuous process, so I do agree with that. I think as long as they're making an attempt to do something, they continue to do that, but it could be where it fell in this other staff member as well.
So I know that on one particular property, that is listed here, the property next to it is for sale.
Yes.
And I had somebody come and talk to me. They actually were looking at purchasing it.
Mhm.
And when they were upstairs, they could see a lot on the lot beside of them.
Okay.
And they backed out and because of what they saw beside of them. And so it not only is hurting that property, it's hurting the property beside of it that possibly could be remodeled and sold and look better, a lot better than it does now.
I know the property you're talking about, and I know that that one was on an active code last year, and they really came into compliance with a lot of stuff that was going on and still had probably issues in the backyard. I think they started to the front and worked their way back, and they just.
But there's never anything that's come off that front porch.
did there for a little bit, but I think it's come right back out, so, but I'll ask him to make sure that that is an active case that he's looking at. Are there any other questions about, their services or any properties that you guys are concerned about?
And next item, approved contract with the Davidson County Department of Senior Services.
Mayor?
Well, we need to approve.
I mean, yes.
It's just a year contract, right?
It is a year contract, but it is written to be an automatic renewal.
And
Now-
the last year, I'm not as happy as it was the first year, maybe.
Right, and you do have a right at any time to say you're not happy. I mean, it doesn't mean that you cannot state that and back out, as long as, I think he's got it in there, and,
You have to have a meeting with the town manager and then after 30 days written notice.
right.
Okay.
So you still have a right to change services if you wish.
I'm gonna make a motion that we continue the services for another year, hoping that the addition of the new person will change things.
Second.
Any further discussion needed on this item? If not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion does carry. Approve the contract with Davidson County Department of Senior Services for fiscal year 23 and 24.
So this contract is the standard contract we received from the county for the past several years. They do, meet their daily to do Meals on Wheels and provide, meals inside now. They've gone back to that since COVID, restrictions have ended. And then also they provide other services during the day, exercise groups, and they used to do line dancing, but I think they do music and arts and crafts and things like that. So they do meet Monday through Friday. They pay 75% of the yearly utilities, and then they take care of all telephone and internet expenses on them. And this would need the board to approve continuing services with them using Civic Center.
I make a motion to continue, working with the Davidson County Senior Services, to be able to use our Denton Civic Center for the coming year.
Second. Any further discussion on this item? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion does carry. Consideration and approval, North Carolina Department of Transportation, new grade crossing with active warning devices on First Street. Andrew Jenkins.
So I received an email from the Department of Transportation regarding the possibility of adding crossbar at First Street. We currently have stop signs at this intersection with the railroad, and there is a grant that would pay for the entire project, to be 100% federally funded, and no match required from the state or municipality. With that being said, the initial cost is covered, but the town would still have a yearly maintenance fee of $17.84, which is half of the projected yearly maintenance. That amount is by general statute. I did review that, and we are required to help pay the maintenance of that crossbar, whatever, if they just do lights or a bar, not sure. At this point, they're just asking for consideration. That cost goes up, then we are still responsible. I did read in this request that says that if we cancel at any time, then we could be subject to reimbursement to the DOT for those costs. In reviewing this information last week, I was looking over stuff with Julie, and she made mention that we have had this request before, and the mayor and Dana remember that as well, and that's why we now have stop signs at that intersection. We decided not to do a cross lights with a crossbar, so it would be entirely up to the board. It does not say you are obligated to do that. It says that if you decline this, it would be canceled for potentially 2 years is what I believe I remember reading. And we have had accidents in there. I know of one last year. Am I stating that correctly? One last year that was a truck that was hit. No bodily injury, but just property damage.
Did we used to have lights? I'm thinking
Never.
there used to be
Yes,
a light,
across.
there's never been lights there.
Not lights. But I'm just wondering, does this come out every so many years? Because I think this is the same. I wish I could find mine from when we decided to put the stop sign up, because
Now, at that time, we had to pay for it, and it
Yes.
was
Right.
a huge fee.
They tried to get us through Jones Street too one time.
If you review the statute on this, if the town were to request this project to be considered, we would have to pay 90% of the cost by statute. So with them coming to us with a grant, it would actually pay for the installation of the crossbars and everything. But you still would have the maintenance fee that would go forward.
and it could be, you don't know what it could be.
Currently it's $17.84, but it could increase over time, just as everything else does.
And we're at their mercy at that point and have to pay whatever they tell us to pay.
Yes.
I didn't realize there had been, I think, ain't it 3 accidents there? Or do you
Because
know?
we had them cut the bank down too.
On
Or we did.
Two sides.
I'd say probably within 5 years, I can only remember one truck I did.
Okay.
Do we pay the maintenance fee on these other ones?
No. The other ones are on DOT roads, so they're not our responsibility.
Yeah, we've had some at some other intersections, but First Street, I think, is that one. Cut off one.
Thoughts? Anybody have any thoughts on this? You want to pursue this, or you would rather decline again?
Well, it's the cheapest it's been in the last 20 years.
That's what I keep looking, it's 100% funded, but if we do it, then are they gonna force our hand to do them down the line all the way out the city limits?
There's nothing implied in that, is it?
No.
No, but, well, you did it on this street, you gonna
But
do
they
it
pay
on
for it.
Council Street or the next street?
Do we
or-
know what the difference is between the streets, like
Well,
4th
this one-
Street?
So this one's looking at First Street. So we have, what, 4th Street that's still in town, or is that?
Yeah, 4th Street and Jones. That's what it says.
Jones would probably be a split between us, the railroad, and DOT.
The last time we told them it was their road.
Yeah, Jones is their road, but it depends on if they take into consideration the cross of Newsom. So, but they've not mentioned any others. They did not provide any information on any of the DOT roads that may be considered. When I spoke to the lady, she actually said that, you know, if we approve it, then they get the engineers involved, they bring them down and look at the layout of the area and see what the best fit is for that particular area. So in saying that, it, you know, it could change a little bit, cost could go up or it could go down as far as whatever the yearly maintenance agreement.
The engineer did say the other day when the truck hit him, that was the most dangerous crossing through here.
Oh, yeah.
And is that where that?
Yeah.
No, it
No.
happened.
It happened.
It hit two that day, so I guess.
That was his
I
second.
guess you get one at a time.
So, he was going back to the yard.
I'd like to know if it's arms or just lights.
Okay, I can definitely go back and ask them. I don't know if they knew the extent at the time that, they sent this out. I think they were just trying to get a scope and see if we were interested. But I can definitely go back to them and ask them, are you looking at bars? Are you looking at just lights? You know, what would be the consideration there? And it may be until the engineers come out, they wouldn't know which one would be better for that. You know.
The way this, the Center Streets, the proposed scope of work is for installation of new grade crossing active warning devices consisting of flashing lights, bells, and gates. So,
But the again, with them coming out and actually looking at the location, it could change.
Well, how many people pay attention to the stop signs that are there?
I see them running all the time.
Some,
They never paid attention to the railroad crossing signs
Right.
that were there.
no,
Yeah, so,
you need to put gates up or nothing.
Well, I think so too, because I think people think, oh, well, I have to stop if the train's coming. But no, it means stop, look, and then go. But I see them go through it all the time.
If it says gates, I'll make a motion that we do it.
I'll second that.
Great. Any further discussion on this? No, we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Number 8, approve development agreement with EH&A Investments, LLC. Andrew,
I'm actually gonna let Attorney Whitman handle this one. She has been working really hard with Mr. Schuler on this agreement, and I'll let her.
Thank you, Angel. So this is the agreement that we had discussed with Mr. Shore and EH&A Investments. At this time, he has proceeded with meeting all of his requirements that he needs. The bond is in place. I've got evidence of all of that. And this is just a formalized agreement. The only thing that he had asked that we add was the paragraph 7. That just says that in the event that the street is paved to full NCDOT standards after the 1-year warranty period, he would like to be able to dedicate it to the town for the town to accept and take over maintenance. So should you agree with that, then we'll be able to move forward with this. And I think Angel was gonna give you an update as well. The only thing that's holding up his CO on those initial units is DEQ. DEQ is still not sent the approval for the water line, I think it is. And so he's been battling with that, and Angel's been battling with that. And so I told Wayne that I would help out and battle with that as well if need be. But it's getting the left hand and right hand to talk to each other at DEQ right now.
The only problem I have with 7 is, I don't have a problem taking over the streets, but I would prefer that all construction is done prior to taking it over. As in, the property's maxed out on the buildings he's gonna put on it, that he can't build more.
Okay, I understand.
Sits there in the back. If he'd have built those first and built the ones at the front where they're not coming in and out on the road.
Last time I spoke to him, he's not building any in the back. I think 1 set is all he's allowed to build now. The ones in the very back, I think he told him he couldn't build right there.
He's building, excuse me, Michael, I think a total of 7, right?
Yeah.
Not 8.
We had to meet with him the other day, we want some payment.
But 4's built now, so
So
he's
we built 3 more.
3 more to go. I prefer all construction to be.
And then he has to, because of his lay of the land and doing the erosion control for the property, he had to nix one of the units.
And that was the purpose of allowing the paving to be completed later, was so that he could get them all constructed, so that it was not damaging the pavement that he already done when he was adding the construction. So he shared the same concerns that you had. So he doesn't plan to pave until they're all done, but if for some reason, that's why we have the bond in there, if something were to happen, he passed away, or what, something catastrophic, that the town would have the money there to go after for the paving.
He's had so much trouble, you know, and I think in good faith, he's trying to do what's right. I think the least we could do is to go with paragraph 7. Since it is his desire to be done before doing the paving.
Is that a motion?
I'm just stating my opinion.
Sounded like a motion.
Did to me too, Mayor.
It's a pretty good one, I thought.
I would like to put it into a form of a motion.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? If not, all in favor say aye. Motion carries. Great. Number 8A, it's a review of job creation and business grants. Andrew Jenkins.
Do we have a copy of
I'm
that?
sorry,
She would
we
not.
do.
Coming around. Okay, a couple meetings ago, we discussed the possibility of looking at changing some of the items that we have on the Jobs and Business Creation Program. And I brought this back before you. It is an item on our budget to be budgeted for this next year at $8,000. And so I was asked that we bring this back and review it prior to approving our budget for the next year. This was updated in 2020, and it has several grants that are available to the public for new businesses, for jobs creations, for tap and water and sewer tap grants, restoration and renovations to buildings, and then also for a beautification grant for properties within the town. In considering this, the only one that really has been used since this has been updated in 2020 is the one for the water and sewer tap grant fees. And that is, as you know, we used the full budget for this last year, and with our construction that is going on, I'm sure we will have requests for more. It is a cost to the town to install these water and sewer lines, and then we're granting the money back to them. We're going in the hole right now on them because everything's increased, as you know, as you well know. So it is something to consider, either redoing the grant that is available or potentially looking at a different reimbursement or no reimbursement for this. Houses are being built, so do we continue to provide this, or do we not?
The original intention of that letter 3, I wasn't on the board then, but
Yeah.
was the original intent because we had not had any significant building.
So the original grant goes back several years. I would think 2010 or 11 is when the original grant was established, and at that time we really did not have housing. The housing market in town was just buying and selling of established homes, not anybody who was building a new home as we see now.
Yeah, early on, the others was used more than that one. I mean,
Really?
The signage and
the
the beautification was used.
Yeah, which we really hope that'll be a case one day, with our project that we've got going on with our building downtown. It can cause people to want to do more for their buildings and make theirs look just as appealing and attractive too. So there is that concern that might be used in the future. We did have a request for that last year, but they did not meet the qualifications for number 5. And I will say also, if you consider keeping any or all of this, I know there was the concern that, I think it's number 5, was the beautification, and the planning and zoning board actually approved these projects. They don't have approval they don't have the authority to approve spending. So, we might want to reword that.
And the way I know that we're not dealing with 5 right now, but you mentioned it. So this is only available to downtown businesses?
That's the way it's written. Now, it could definitely, if it stays on the agenda or on the grant, it could be reworded to include businesses within the corporate limits.
What does it do to the budget if we nix the whole thing and start fresh?
You would just have to reallocate that $8,000 to somewhere, to another line
Did
item.
you have an idea of where to put it?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
On number 3, there's a 50% cost of rock bore. Cap Michael, how expensive is that?
Depends on what we tear up.
Really?
I mean, it could be nothing, it could be $5,000.
Line budget only
So
eight.
5 would pretty much take care of anything? Okay.
None of the track houses use this, though, right?
No, they did not. Because they actually installed their own lines and, except for Ivy Street. Did we do Ivy Street? We did the main line and they did their.
We done the main line, sewer was already laid up to the edge of the road. He laid the water and wastewater up the road. We done the taps. But we overcut it because it was a city road. Now that 5,000, that will only cover the 3/4, 1 inch bores. You get up to 6, 8, 10 inch bores, $5,000, we turn them off this thing.
Now they did on Broad Street and spring is getting ready to start within the next 30 days. I talked to Chris Reed last week. They did pay their tap fees because they're paying those fees to tap onto our services. So they did pay those, but they installed and did their own boring and that type of thing from our
But they
last
paid the
connection.
tap fees.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's no money back. Okay, that's what I was about.
I'd like to make the motion that we eliminate the free water and sewer taps.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion on this item?
I just have a question of clarification. So you're saying keep everything else in place, but just eliminate number 3 completely?
The one that gives us free water and sewer taps.
Or do we need to do it all and start over? Any thoughts? I mean, well, the motion.
I'm not gonna be using it anyway, so I wouldn't, I'd keep it in place and maybe we need to tweak it some. I mean, I think any incentives we can do to help people with beautifying or, you know, cause business is good, but it still ain't good for some people, you know?
Do away with all that, cause the boring would
I'd
eat up.
say,
We could
Do away with number
do-
3.
Yeah, do away with number 3 completely.
and keep the others in.
So you wanna reinstate your,
No, he stated it to say remove item number 3
Right.
from the.
complete, okay. We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? That motion carries.
Now, with that being said, can we put this on a future
To review.
to review and see if we need to tweak any of it?
What's your plan? We'll bring that back in July. And if you, over the next few weeks, if you have any suggestions, you will email those to me or Paula. That way we can combine them and bring them back to you with that presentation.
Item number 9, public hearing, fiscal year 2023, 2024 proposed budget, Angel.
We presented the budget to you last month for review, and you have before you, I did, the budget, we did post it for the public to come in and review, and that I'm aware of, we didn't have any requests for that. Okay. In reviewing the proposed budget, we are looking at, general fund of 2.3, I just see I have a typo on there, so I apologize for that, right there in the paragraph above the general fund and the water and sewer fund, and it changed my totals, so the 3,281,642 should be the total of the two listed at the bottom, so I do apologize for that.
Should 3281642 should actually be 4167672.
Yes, and I apologize, I was going through and pulling my figures from the budget. And reviewed it twice, so there you go. Okay, so with this year's budget, we do not have an increase to our property taxes. We are still at, 0.60 of $100 valuation. And, in saying that, we are currently at 97.34% collection rate for the town of Denton, and the county is at 97.74. So it's a pretty good collection rate. I spoke with Christy Morrow earlier, and she said they were very hopeful to get to 98% of collections, which is wonderful. I think last year we were just over 98%. So whatever we projected is looking really good for that for this year. We have no increases to water and sewer or our trash services. And then for this year, as you guys know, we have a lot of projected projects, and a lot of those seem to be just on hold. And as Missy said, and I'll stay a little bit later, waiting for those permits that we have from DEQ are kind of our holdup right now. And I'll go over more of that in my report. But we do have projects for revitalization for our downtown market area. We're looking at replacing aging equipment with Public Works, new vehicle with the police department, turnout gear for the fire department, and then several upgrades to the water and the sewer plant. Our personnel is budgeted in here for a 5% merit increase to begin January 1st with the first payroll of January. And looking at our taxes, this year we will see some increase in the new development that has come, looking at potentially 2% increase on that. So that's going to help across the board with the budget itself. Also, sales tax makes up about 19% of our budget. So I'm looking at that. Sales tax has seen an increase over the past 3 years since COVID happened. A lot of that is driven from the point of sale, which is online sales, brings that back home. So if you're ordering online, those sales taxes collected come back into Davidson County. So that helps our bottom dollar. Power bill from everything that we have seen is going to kind of maintain itself at $55,000, and that's 2% of our budget. And then our fees that we collect for the waste disposal is 3% of our revenue, and that's at $8 right now for each resident. And then we still have our $5 motor vehicle fee for all vehicles that are registered in the town of Denton. Your largest expenditures that we look at is our salaries, and that's at 35% of all expenditures. That does include the merit increases. We also provide full benefit for full-time employees, paying their health insurance, and health insurance saw a slight increase. Excuse me, I believe it was like a 0.03%. It was very minimal. It kind of washed itself out, but not like the increases we've seen in years past. We also, with the retirement system, our contributions will increase this year 0.85 for regular staff, and then law enforcement officers will go to 1404. So theirs has, I think it's about a 0.14% increase on theirs. So total operating expenses is 65% of our total overall budget for the general fund. In looking at your water and sewer fund, again, with 2% increase on our water and sewer revenues due to the increased building and homes moving into, or people moving into these homes and generating the water revenues there. We anticipate that Handy Sanitary would continue with their revenue stream, $475,000. I know that we have talked to Handy extensively about their projects that they have going on with the Albemarle extension of water lines, potentially with an interconnection with Montgomery County and another with Davidson Water. However, it is their goal that we still are their #1 supplier. They get a really good rate from the town of Denton for their water, and they would like to continue that relationship with us. And looking at your expenditures, your salaries are 38%, which leaves 62% of the expenses. Now, expenses have gone up over the past couple of years. Everything that we seems like everything we go to do, is higher, whether it's parts to fix something or if it's chemicals to treat the water in the sewer. I know the guys have worked hard on trying to get price comparisons on that to make sure we're getting the best deal possible. So in conclusion, our town personnel, operations, equipment, capital improvements, and debt services is $4,167,672. And that's a total of the general fund and your enterprise fund together. With the proposed budget, we did review all of that at our last meeting. And like I said, we did not have any public input on that presented budget. Are there any questions from the commissioners?
Paving, how much paving did you put in there?
That is on. So paving is at $355,000.
That sort of helped make up for the
Yes.
year we didn't do anything.
Yes, it will.
And you got 1.5 new employees in this budget, is that correct?
1.5 in,
1 police officer and half one for you?
yes, we do. We budgeted police department at, and I did not print that, I apologize, I meant to have that for y'all. We had an additional officer, which would take them to 6, and then our full part-time employee going full-time, so. We didn't do the 7th man, it's like we.
So you're just going at full?
Bring them back to full staff, so
Okay,
we
so
still
we're
have.
not adding anybody?
No, but we're just making sure we have it budgeted so that when we do have someone, that it can
6
be,
is the number anyway, right?
it has been since 2019. Yeah, we had, 2019, I think we cut the 7th position for budget reasons. But, I budgeted up to 6 so that we can make sure that he has someone who is viable. We don't have to come back and get a budget amendment in order to hire them. So we do have the budget for that person.
And there's no money or anything for the bathrooms or anything?
No, not yet. That will definitely be a budget amendment. We have to look at figuring out what our cost is. We met, last Thursday night with John Buller, reviewed the plans, and he is going to bring us back another plan. In looking at the cost for either standalone bathroom or the attached bathroom to the town hall, I did reach out to the USDA to see what grants or loans are available to municipalities. There is a small grant for renovations of a town hall building up to $50,000. That would not be a match, so that might be a help to do some of the project. And then looking at our options through either local financing or through the USDA for long-term and what our best rates are. So have started looking at that, we just don't have a cost yet.
And do you have a job description on your part-time employee, full-time, part-time, whatever?
She is an admin assistant, so we can.
I mean, it seems like more and more people are paying online, less and less people coming in.
Well, it's kind of a mixture. We do have a lot of people who pay online. I will admit that, that has increased, especially with COVID. But on a day-to-day basis, we have a lot of foot traffic. We not only take water payments for us, we take the check-free system handles Duke Energy, Energy United, Spectrum, Verizon, just about anything, even loan payments. There's an option if your bank's part of that, you can make a loan payment through it.
And how much do we generate from that revenue? And Energy United, no.
Some of them are $1 per transaction, and Duke Energy is 30 cents per transaction. So we make less from Duke, we process more of those, but we're a franchise for them. So it's an instant process for that payment. They don't have to wait 3 or 4 days, and they don't pay a fee. So we're getting 30% or 30 cents off of their transaction. I mean, it's minimal as to what we make, but it is a service, because if you, I don't know if you have all of your payments set up to be electronically drafted, but there's not a brick and mortar for a lot of these places anymore. So having a place that people can come and have a centralized payment center, it does provide that to the town. Now, again, it's not a huge revenue stream for us, but it is a service for the residents. And then we also collect the taxes, and July, August, and September are really busy, and then end of December and January are extremely busy.
Time-wise on those other services we provide, how much time-wise does it take of our employees?
It just depends on
More
the
than
time of
30
month it
cents
is.
worth?
Oh, well, I've never done a cost on it. I will say I've never broken it down by minutes, so I don't know. Today, we probably processed, what would you think, 25 payments?
Minimal.
So 25 out of the check-free program. And then water department was busy, or water payments are busy because it's that time of the month. It's the first of the month and everybody's paying their bills. Tax department is very minimal this time of year, so it wouldn't start till July, but Commissioner, I've not broken that down. We could do that. It's been a while since I've looked at the number that we process in a month, so I'm not sure if Paula has looked at that lately, but
I have not.
Yeah.
I came in last week to see Angel, for a meeting. We had an appointment. Paula and Robin had their heads together working on something. Phones were ringing off the hook. Angel was having to answer them, and we had an appointment. So she had to put our appointment off to help in the front. And I don't know of any other manager that's helped in the front.
yeah, I said that's the benefit of me knowing the front, is that they do have that backup, and if there is anybody out, then of course I have that, but I try to pay attention if the phones ring more than twice. I grab it, because we don't want someone to be waiting or have to call back, so we try to provide that service as best as possible, but yeah.
But luckily it was me and not, another vendor or somebody.
For example, Ryan was
citizen.
Ryan was in today and talked to me about some things, and I took 4 calls and took 3 payments at the front, because it was just like that too. And some days are like that. Some days are really busy and some are not. But the benefit moving forward, I think our benefit would be the fact that we have a lot of projects, but not only that, we're continuing to see the growth in the town. So we're only going to continue to get busy. Again, the check-free is part of that process. I wouldn't recommend not providing that service if we were looking at doing cuts in order not to have it sapping, but it is something that, especially our older residents in our community, they do benefit from being able to make one stop and pay all the bills, because they're still not doing the online or drafts or anything like that.
Do other towns offer that service, that check-free?
I don't know.
Some do, some don't.
Yeah.
I think it's just always one of those things that we felt like it was a good thing to provide.
Yeah.
We used to
And
make it off peak power and cut
Yeah.
that so much.
Yeah, we used to be with Global, and Global had a major security breach in 2018, and they were shut down almost a year, and then they completely dissolved the company and started with check-free, and so we kind of had to restructure that. So
And I can speak to that when to knowing how crazy that was, because when people couldn't come here, they would actually come to us. What do I do?
Yeah.
Because that's how valuable that service is, and me and my team helped many people make those phone calls, because if we had not helped them, there was nowhere for them to go.
And
I mean,
I'm
it's
not
just
disputing that we shouldn't help them. I just didn't know if there was any way we could renegotiate the rate that we get compensated.
There's not.
For how much exactly it is we get? Do we get $2,000 a year, $10,000 a year?
You get probably more close to 10,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
That helps, you know.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you're getting closer to 10,000 a year. So you not only are getting, the 30 cent per transaction for Duke, but then all the others, I think, are $1 a transaction. So Duke is the only one that's, for whatever reason, we only get 30 cent, but the others, you know, Energy United and, well, any of the others, there's about 10 that we take.
I didn't realize there were so many.
Yeah,
until
oh, yeah.
Global was
There-
down.
There's a huge amount, and
Horizon
yeah, there's other places around town that offer the same service, but because they already come here to make their water payment, it's just easier for them, so. But, yeah,
I would like to add too, talking about the online payments, even though they come in online, we still have to go into our system and post them. So you're still processing it as if you had someone standing in front of you.
yeah,
So,
that is a good point. It's not a direct feed into our system. And those, can take some time to process, and so we do it as a completely separate transaction to make sure that it balances. So,
Just because my brain sometimes works in numbers,
okay.
where you were talking about your percentages on the revenues and the expenditures, are they both supposed to come up to 100, or are they supposed to come up to some other number?
So when you're looking at your revenues on the general fund side, like I just pulled out the major contributors to the revenue. The other percentages that are not listed would be, kind of like dump truck rentals, your cemetery plot fees, anything from the street festival, all other revenues would fall into that. So the ones listed is not gonna get 100% if you.
Okay, because when I just roughly added, I was coming up about 65.
Yeah, that's right.
And, okay.
Yeah, so the other percent is made up by everything else.
Okay. Just curious.
Yes, that's a good question. Cause I did check that to make sure that was a good figure for y'all. Alright, any other questions or concerns or,
Annual sidewalk paving says 225,000, not 300.
add your POW bill to it.
Okay.
Yeah, so POW bill,
It's not included in that.
right, is a whole separate line item. We have to track the expenses for that for the state.
If there's no further discussion on this, I need a motion and a second to open the public hearing.
Make a motion. Second.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Uh,
That being said, I'd like to open the public hearing, even to come and speak for or against the proposed budget for the year 2023, 2024, please come forward and state your name. and address. Do what?
Is it over?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Hearing none, seeing none, I need a motion to close it at this time.
So moved.
So
Second.
moved. Second. All in favor?
Uh,
Hearing is now closed. That this board can take action and approve it tonight.
I make a motion that we approve the fiscal year 2023-24 budget.
second.
Second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved fiscal year 2023, 2024 fee schedule.
The copy of the fee schedule you have to have is, there's no changes to that fee schedule, there's no increase to the water, or the trash service is usually where we hit those. We do still have the fees for bulk item pickup at $20, and, that has, I was just looking at some checks that we paid today for our best disposal for our dumpsters, and so it really does help offset that cost that we're having to pay for the dumpster services for that. There are no other changes to the fee schedule for this year.
I make a motion that we accept the town of Denton schedule of fees for 2023-2024.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next item, town attorney update.
So I share Angel's frustration about dealing with DEQ. It's not just with these water lines, it's kind of across the board of what we're having problems with dealing with those. And, just to let the board know, I did receive a call today from, the attorney for Handy. So I'll return that call tomorrow and see what that's about. That's all I have.
Any questions for our attorney? If it's something we need to know, will you send us? Great. Town manager's report.
Do we have a copy in?
No, I did not. I've had a couple meetings today, so I apologize for not getting that. I'm just basically reviewing what I emailed to you guys already, bringing into public comment, or into public. I sent an email out in detail regarding the Handy Sanitary District quarterly meeting that we held at Handy's offices. And Daryl Hennett actually reviewed all the information about their connections with the Albemarle line and what their proposals were. And I know that we had asked that we have a joint board meeting with them. So I'm not sure if that may be what the connection is with the attorney reaching out to Misty. I don't know.
They'll meet with us?
I don't know. So we'll see. We'll wait for response from this conversation. So we'll see what's going on there. I'm not sure, but we did review with them several of the projects that we've got going on, the water plant, our SCADA system that we approved at our last meeting, and the benefits that we feel like would benefit the entire system if we could control the levels in their water tanks. And Mr. Hennett said that he was in agreement with that if we could work out some kind of arrangement to do that. It would help with the day-to-day operations, being able to know where the tanks are and not being surprised in the middle of the night when they start filling a tank and we have no one there working. So there is a lot going on there. They did also talk about their connections with Davison Water and the possibility of us having an interconnection through their interconnection with Davison Water in case there were ever a time that we had an emergency and our water plant had to be shut down for whatever reason. So it may be something that we will look into in the future to have that interconnection with Davison Water. They are looking at their project for the next 2 years, spanning that bridge. I don't know if you've been across 49 lately, but it has taken them quite a long time to complete, just even get it demolished to start on rebuilding. They are have also been contacted by Montgomery County to look at maybe an interconnection with Montgomery County to provide water to them. So at that point, it could be a conversation that we have on how would that take place. Again, it's all just bringing information to you guys. Let's see. The mayor and I, and Scotty, because he's a member of this board, with EDC board with Davidson County, we attended a meeting 2 weeks ago regarding the future of the EDC board. We met again today, and the county manager, 2 commissioners, and the EDC members, along with the managers and mayors, were present. Basically, the county has decided they are going to do their economic development in-house. They're looking to hire someone who would handle all of this going forward. With that being said, they're not sure what that means for the EDC board currently, what their roles will be. The county is not going to fund this board, so they are looking at restructuring, possibly doing focusing on the workforce, how to help train staff for the companies that are coming to our county. We did talk about the connections that the municipalities would also have, being able to have a voice on that, even if it is handled under the county's umbrella of a county staff member handling that. And the way that it seemed to be structured, and Scotty, if I'm wrong in saying this, correct me, that they would have 2 representatives from each municipality that would be a part of an internal board for the county working under the EDC director that they hire. So that's still to come, but they are working towards that. They have listed that they had concerns that they didn't feel that they were in the know as much as they wanted to be, and they're also concerned about the extensive growth of the county not being too much or too much of the wrong type of growth. So they're looking at a lot of different things right now, looking at schools, looking at the impact on the workforce, schools, and the community in general. So all of that, more to be to come, but they are actually June 30th, they'll pull out from the EDC board. So with that also being said, we eventually will have to make that decision depending on what the EDC board themselves decide that they're going to do and continue to provide for the county and for each town. So I don't think they have a direct guidance on that yet, but once they do, we'll present that back to you guys for consideration. Again, just reviewing that we met with ACE code enforcement, and they are working on getting things back in order after replacing a staff member. The Harrison Park, the market, the cemetery, civic center, town hall, police and fire, we did a pressure washing at all of these locations, and if you hadn't noticed, it looks really good. So I think it was a good thing to do for maintenance on the buildings. And the farmers market looks like a new market. I was shocked that it was such a nice wood structure now without having all the older stuff listed or black stuff just aging listed there. Let's see. Two events have taken place, I think, since our last meeting, and that was the rodeo for the library and the Parks and Rec, and then they had Movie in the Park this past weekend. They did really well with that. I think they had 112 sharks that they did, so roughly guessing that that's the attendance. Not everybody wanted to do them, but the rain came, so the movie was about 5 minutes, and the lightning struck, so they had to cancel that. On to one other update I want to give you. So in talking about the EDQ stuff that we're going through with all of our permits, we have several that are still open. We've got Spring Street, replacing that water line. I did speak to Chris Reed, and I let him know that as soon as we have that go ahead, we'll be in contact to get the piping from him that they've donated. Spring Street 109 extension, we are still waiting on that to be finalized. And then the John Street project, which is not ours, but just making sure that they're staying on top of that for Mr. Schuler. I did speak to Rodney Lambert today. He needed a letter to send to the county for water and sewer services, so we provided that. I reached out to Labella, and Heather Miller is our engineer there, and I did tell her that the board would like her to come do a presentation, so she's working on that. I'm gonna see if she can attend our July meeting. But she reviewed all the information that she had gotten from our department heads. We currently have projects that are being paid for by our ARPA funds. So we are replacing 2-inch water lines in sections of town. We're looking at the pump station upgrades. Also the, I believe it's the oxidation ditch at the sewer plant. And one other thing. Several things there that I did express to her that are one of our most important things that we need to get processed or start the process is our hydraulic study for the areas of concern. Not just the whole system, but just starting with some of the areas, Spring and Broad, that community. Also, across 109 in the Harvard area, there's pressure issues there, looking at potentially, speaking with Michael, probably putting in some kind of booster pumps in different areas in order to be able to provide that. We really want to see if there's anything that's causing the issues with the pressure first, if we could pinpoint where the pressure is lost. But, you know, probably boosters are going to be the answer. Michael's looked at potentially putting one off of the Cox Street water tank in order to help that area across 109. Okay, so I'm done talking. What do you guys have?
The lights on Highway 109,
Mm-hmm.
have you heard anything on that lately?
I will refer to Paula for that. She has been working on that process.
All right,
On 109 or down here on Salisbury?
109, we had discussed,
Are you talking about the one with the power lines hanging? Is
no,
that- No.
we had discussed 3 or 4 months ago about
Adding.
Oh,
right
Duke
now,
Energy.
109.
I gotcha, sorry, I apologize, Mayor. So my contact with Duke Energy is working on sections. I got the engineer's proposal for Broad Street, Ivy Street, Harbor Street, Kenny Avenue, and there's one other area that Floyd Street. So they're doing them in sections. They're kind of like DEQ. I'm waiting on them, but they are in process. So I'm still waiting on the 109 corridor coming into town and out of town. And I also added our cemetery on that just to see if there's a potential they could add lights in that area. So, but the others, because they're being developed right now, I guess they felt that was an easier start for them instead of looking at the proposal for 109. But I don't have that yet. I apologize. I thought we were talking about the one on the intersection of Bombay and 109.
And will they fix these lights as purple or whatever color they're in?
They will. If you see them, let us know, because there's a way that we can go in and report them, and they'll come in and replace them. That is a defect in the LED bulbs, and we have reported a lot. The chief had officers looking at them there for a while. It seems like the ones we replaced are the ones that are turning purple. So I noticed a couple the other night.
I turned in the ones right here on Salisbury Street.
Okay.
I had someone ask me about shortstop, if they were still planning on building.
They are. They just finalized everything on their project, and they have started working with some engineering on their water sewer line connections in there. So here again, DEQ, and so they're starting that process. There was a concern about their retaining wall that they're going to have to build on the property to the south of the property, and so they were looking into this little portion of land that was owned by another family, and so I think that was kind of their holdup on what they're looking at, but they are moving forward.
And I still have a concern about the Bobby Road superhighway that people fly.
Not counting the other night, right, you told me.
Yeah, not counting the other night. That was warranted, even though it was loud and a lot, but
Yeah.
still.
When it get to be summertime, we'll try to do some radar check, or do our radar signs that we've got in, maybe put them up and have them check that area.
Goes down the center line.
Yeah.
Do they come by my house too?
Yes, somebody, that concerns me a lot.
They like to wear black.
Skateboarders coming down.
Skateboarders and scooters, and they come down the center lane.
Mhm.
We have,
And
someone
one of
reached
those-
out to us through Facebook and said they had seen it also on, Flat Swamp in that area and was concerned for
And
the,
I'm telling you,
The
if they're in the
individuals.
center lane and one of those comes around that curve, it's gonna be ugly.
it will.
I talked to two of the parents of two of the skateboarders, I was going to the road, and I thought, parents about the way they're riding.
Check the camera on that stop sign, or does it show the stop sign?
No, the camera here don't show it in front at all.
Okay.
Yeah, ours just shows inside. I know, somebody decided Scotty needed a stop sign in his front yard, so they took ours and put it over there. So. She
Michael
replaced it.
also has a sign that gets turned.
Yeah, and Michael's got a street sign that gets turned, so, yeah. All right, any other questions?
Okay, thank you. Commissioner comments or concern? Would you like to take a 5-minute break or move on into closed session?
I will.
Power round. I need a motion and a second to go into closed session.
Have a motion.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
It is now in closed session.